Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you all for coming today. I'd like to welcome our partners at Chainalysis, including Public Sector Chief Technology Officer Gervis Grigg, and he and his team have actually made the trek all the way from New York to join us for today's announcement. The Calgary Police Service and Chainalysis are entering into a partnership that will result in the creation of the Western Canada Cryptocurrency Investigation Centre. The Investigation Centre will serve as an international training hub for law enforcement, allowing police to proactively learn about emerging cryptocurrency and cybercrime trends and to utilize innovative investigative techniques to better address digital financial crime. Why is that important? And how would this partnership impact Calgarians, Albertans, Canadians, and even citizens more broadly than that? To put it simply, the creation of the Western Canada Cryptocurrency Investigation Centre strengthens our ability to ensure that citizens are kept safe from fraud and other crime by enhancing the technical skills of investigators and providing expert training and resources for police, all of which allows us to respond more proactively and effectively to the growing challenges of online criminality online criminality and financial crime in particular. Last year, cryptocurrency-related fraud resulted in a staggering $13 million loss here in Calgary. And that's just the reported incidents that were received by the Calgary Police Service. Thus far, in 2023, Calgarians have reported losses in the magnitude of about $3 million to crypto-related fraud. And so we know that these types of crimes are vastly underreported, but even at $3 million in the first quarter, this is far too high of a loss, and we have a duty and a responsibility to ensure the safety of our communities. And today, this important responsibility extends not only to the physical world, but also to the digital world. In addition to the creation of the Western Canada Cryptocurrency Investigation Centre, the Calgary Police Service Cyber Forensic Unit and Chainalysis have created what we're calling the CPS Blockchain Investigative Team. This team is mandated to support cryptocurrency-related investigations. Cyber and cryptocurrency crimes frequently require very complex investigations, which come with their own unique challenges. Some of those relate to jurisdiction, because these types of investigations will span across multiple jurisdictions and sometimes multiple countries. Cyber has become a key component of criminal activity, as you all know, and that's the case generally, and it requires a collaboration of police and other industry experts. This partnership will allow us to do exactly that, work together to better serve our communities and to keep them safe. The goal of policing is to prevent crime and victimization whenever it's possible to do that. This training center will make it possible for law enforcement to take a more proactive approach when it comes to addressing cryptocurrency-related crimes. This will be done by keeping on top of new and emerging technology and crime trends and providing investigators with timely training and resources to adapt as required. We are pleased to be part of an innovative partnership with Chainalysis, where cybersecurity expertise is shared amongst the Calgary Police Service and private enterprise. This announcement is actually just the beginning of what we believe will become a useful blueprint for public and private sector partnerships when it comes to increasing safety of cryptocurrency and providing meaningful opportunities for collaboration between law enforcement and leading industry experts. I'd now like to invite Gervis Grigg, the Chief Public Sector Technology Officer at Chainalysis, up to the podium to say a few words. Gervis.
Thank you, Chief Newfield, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you for a few moments and talk more about this partnership and the opportunity this provides for average Calgarians and those here in Western Canada. As he indicated, my name is Gervis Grigg. I'm the Public Sector Chief Technology Officer for Chainalysis. I'm a retired FBI agent, spent 23 years with the FBI, and before that was a stock and bond broker. So I have a great love and passion for financial investigations and how technology can help solve cases. When I came time to retire, I knew I wanted to still continue to support public sector and serve in that way. And so I looked, and Chainalysis, being the leading blockchain analytic firm, was just a perfect marriage for me. And we're really pleased to be here in Calgary and be with the incredible men and women of the CPS, as well as to meet a number of our Chainalysis employees who call Calgary their home. This partnership is an incredible opportunity to democratize a world-class expertise in crypto investigations here at the Calgary Police Service and support Western Canada. The entire CPS team has been a fantastic partner in our work to build trust in the digital assets and expand structure allows them to be able to better protect Canadians from crypto crime. We could not be more thrilled to launch this innovative center, and we look forward to the work that we will do closely together. For those who don't know us, Chainalysis is the leading blockchain analytic firm. We're a data, services, and research firm providing capabilities to governments in over 70 different countries. We work with both private sector and government entities to help them manage risk and conduct investigations associated with the illicit use of crypto. Our data powers investigations, compliance, and market intelligence software, and have been used to solve some of the world's leading investigations with regard to crypto and cyber. I want to take a step back and talk a little bit about why this partnership and this center are so necessary. In 2019, Chainalysis research has shown a massive increase in the utilization of crypto here in Canada since 2019. In 2022, Canada ranked 22nd in our Global Crypto Adoption Index, and that's up from 26th in the world just the year before. When we look at Canadian engagement using crypto ATMs, decentralized exchanges, and centralized exchanges, we see that Canada has experienced a nearly 213% increase since 2019. In total, the U.S. received almost 8 times more crypto than Canada, but the average Canadian per capita received more crypto than those in the United States. So crypto adoption here in Canada is accelerating and growing. However, we see an explosive increase in the illicit use of crypto involving scams and other ways that are devastating average Canadians. And they tell a very unique story. Overall, for every 1,000 Canadians, there was at least 1,144 Canadian dollars in total exposure to illicit crypto activity in last year alone. In only looking at the top 10 scams, and there are thousands of these scams out there that are draining people's retirements and savings, we saw that over 41.7 million Canadian dollars were garnered through activity here across Canada. And the climate is really ripe for an investment in this type of greater law enforcement measures to protect Canadians. Through this industry-leading and world-leading partnership, the Calgary Police Service will continue its efforts to fight crime, democratize access to investigative capabilities across the region. This partnership combines with CPS' deep understanding of Western Canada, their investigative expertise, and their customer service, proactive focus on policing with Chainalysis' best-in-class technology, investigative solutions, and training exercises. We're going to make a big focus on training and empowering. I was just telling the group here a little bit earlier, I received just this morning a suspicious text to my phone inducing me to click on a link, which invariably would have downloaded malware to my device that then would have been used to steal my identity and other pieces of information. And this happens to people across the country every single day. And behind that is a criminal and criminal network who's using that information and selling it back on the dark web. And how do those people get paid? They get paid in crypto. Cryptocurrency allows these individuals to move money across the world. This partnership with CPS is going to empower these investigators to be able to follow that money and prevent these kinds of crimes. It's a great honor to be here, and we look forward to this partnership.
Does anybody have any questions?
Sorry, if I may, sir.
Sure.
So you touched on it there, but maybe you can kind of just go into the example. How does this affect sort of more regular people? There's people that kind of get in the speculative part of this, or who are doing transactions for various reasons using cryptocurrency. But how does this kind of affect like regular people that maybe aren't really playing in either of those two fields?
So how does this type of partnership and greater crypto literacy affect the average person? You know, the vast majority of crypto is for lawful and legitimate purposes. But as I like to say, you can't have trillions of dollars move into a new asset class and not attract a criminal and grifter. So how does it affect them? Well, number one, it raises the cost of doing business across the board for everybody, because you can't have billions of dollars lost in fraud and scam and not impact everyone's wallet. Secondly, you have these individuals that are targeted. We see cases involving 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, and much more than that taken out of people's retirements and savings. So an individual or a couple who are in their retirement years to have half their retirement drained to a fraud, that's life-changing and impacting. So to be able to empower police services to investigate those kind of cases and do it quickly with speed and efficiency really impacts and has a real bottom line return for these kinds of victims.
Sorry, just a quick kind of follow-up on it, more on the technical side.
Mhm.
Isn't the point of crypto meant to be that you can't trace it? I mean, like, can you talk a little bit about, like, because that is sort of what you do, is trace these things.
Sure. So
That is my understanding.
there's a common misconception that crypto is anonymous and that it's not traceable. And once something moves on the blockchain, it can't be found. Actually, it couldn't be further from the truth. At best, it's pseudo-anonymous. One of the powerful things about the blockchain is it's a publicly available ledger. So I like to say, even if you didn't know who the subject of the investigation is today, those records are going to still be there 6 years from now. The blockchain is available in public. What we help agencies and banks and financial institutions is understand that blockchain and figure out what wallets are maybe doing business with what wallets so they know where to go to get that information they need. Yeah, the blockchain is not anonymous. In fact, I often say, as a FBI agent, I would have rather have the subject of my cases use crypto than any other asset class because of the transparency, the immutability.
I was wondering if the chief comment on the learning curve. This is something a lot of people don't understand, and that came from that training.
Totally. I think that's a really important point, and I think as Gervis said, it was 2019 we started seeing a big uptake. And so as a Calgary Police Service, we've been committed to making sure that we keep Calgarians safe, and we've had a good presence on cybercrime. But in our strategy, one of the areas that we knew we needed to build on because of the uptake on cryptocurrency was with respect to crypto. So if you think about that, I think the question that was asked about, how does this impact, the average Calgarian? If you think about the number of immigrant folks we have coming to Calgary and the fact that many of those folks send money back to family and stuff in other countries, it makes them very potentially open to being defrauded. I think for myself, I think of if we have a senior that goes to the bank and takes out, the bank machine and takes out a couple $100 and walks away, and somebody knocks that person down and takes a wallet or a purse or whatever, you would see the Calgary Police Service respond, seal off the area. You would see a dog car. You would see victim services. You would see the helicopter. We would move heaven and earth to solve that crime for that senior. But if that same person clicks on the wrong link on an email and has thousands of dollars stolen from them, we need to be able to move heaven and earth in the very same way and release those same hounds in the digital world so that we can get that money back. So one of the challenges, going back to your question around training, is that certainly technology and trends around crime on the digital space move quickly, and I think criminals are early adopters, and at times quicker even than the police and government have been. So this is a priority for us to make sure that we can get there, to make sure that Calgarians are safe, make sure that our folks that are going to the door understand the movement of this currency and when and how it's being used to commit crimes. I think organized crime, when we think about the shootings in our city and guns changing hands and this type of thing, a lot of that is happening on the dark web, and a lot of it is being enabled by cryptocurrency. So this is a space we need to be in. We need to be quicker with the tools. We need to be quicker with the training, and these partnerships are going to allow that.
How's your personal understanding?
Probably as good as yours.
Do you believe this is an underreported?
I do. I think one of the things that I think is going to happen as a result of this partnership and us increasing capacity in this area is we're actually probably going to see more reporting of it. And that's a good thing. I think if you look at the reporting for Calgary, it tends to be less than it should be for a city of 1.4 million. And that's because I think a lot of people think, and a lot of individuals and businesses feel like, well, there's not a lot that can be done. But as Gervis was saying, there is in fact quite a bit that can be done as long as we're upskilled and we provide our folks and investigators the partnerships and the tools and the training to be able to do that. So I think once people understand that the Calgary Police Service is committed to keeping businesses and individuals safe in that space, I think you will see people coming forward. And that's good. The more people that come forward, the better we can understand those trends and what's happening there and respond to it, and the safer we can make it to run, bring your business to Calgary. We want to make sure that this is a place where people can be confident they will be protected. And I think we talked earlier, we don't want to just sit back and hope we're not victimized. We want to prevent people from being victimized, and we want to go after the people that are responsible for it.
One more question for me. Have you had any interest from other police departments to take part in this? Have you seen a training of?
there's probably a real good answer at the back of the room. We're running some other training along with this even today as we speak. And these partnerships, we've always been very adept at partnering with law enforcement, but I think in the world of cybercrime and cryptocurrency, it's clear that the partnerships have to extend beyond the law enforcement community and certainly into the private sector. And that's this is the beginning of that today.
Chief, sort of the same question, but like, how does this integrate with other people? So that your Western Canadian Center, like this is almost all on the shoulders of CPS. How's it staffed? How's it paid for? How does this kind of reach out to other? How does it become a hub as opposed to just a unit in CPS?
Yeah, great question. So we have strong partnerships with law enforcement, not just in Alberta, but actually in Canada and beyond. Every other year, we actually host a cybercrime conference here, and many of you will have been out to that. And so we get big uptake from other police agencies and other public sector agencies because of the quality of the speakers and what can be learned there. So again, this is a space that we want to lead in. We realize we're the largest city in the province and certainly the third largest city in the country. So this is a space we need to make sure that we have lots of capacity in. This is a growing space. This is a risk to individuals, to business, to all of us, frankly, and the police need to be able to lead in this space.
People have two questions for one on top of one off. First, when does this get rolling? When does this get started and how's it start?
We've been working on it for a while, Adam, but actually today, this is the first partnership. I shouldn't say it's the first, actually. We've actually got a partnership with University of Calgary as well. So I think one of the partners that's key in this space as well is academia. But you can imagine that the police are quite careful. Like, we're quite cautious about who we partner with. Chainalysis is certainly a trusted global partner. I think they're operating in probably, Gervis could answer this better than I, but probably 70 countries and trusted here in Canada. So obviously, information that's shared, that is the foundation of investigations has to be reliable. And these folks have gone to court and they've testified on things. And so that's a good trusted partner and a good place to start.
Now, lots of other questions. We've kind of several months since photo radar changes have been put into place. And what we're seeing by the data is tickets handed out by photo radar are down significantly. Wondering what kind of impact that does have on you as the Calgary Police Service, especially when that ticket fine revenue is, important for funding as well.
If you don't mind, Adam, I'll take that one offline with you thereafter, and then just so we can keep it rolling with the Chainalysis piece. But I'm happy to answer that, though. Oh, is there? Yeah, that's okay. But can we save them to the end and make sure we get these ones?
Chief, how many officers are planning to be trained in this, and what is the cost to CPS?
It's a great question. In terms of the numbers, can someone help me out?
So we have.
Do you want to come to the front, maybe, Ryan, just so we... I have a feeling they don't want to spin those cameras 180 degrees. Thank you so much.
So we had a lot of interest in this service-wide. We had approximately 30 applicants for something that we considered a pilot. At this stage, it was very exciting, and it's a zero-cost model.
Maybe this might be a question for you, just off of Aaron's. Just for people at home, this is still a very new thing for a lot of people. Could you kind of paint a picture of what perhaps it looked like in 2019 when it kind of started, and and now with these kind of relationships, especially with Chainalysis, what that's going to look like now in the next few months?
For sure. So you know what? 2019 is actually a good year to start. I was working in a different area at that time, and one of the things that became quickly apparent was as we were dealing with investigations from different parts of the service, we were moving into a crypto space whether we liked it or not. So I've used this example before when I'm talking to people that I work with, is that we were working on a kidnapping case, and we were trying to, as part of the investigation, conceal that we were the police and trying to help this victim. And a ransom demand came in. It was asking for it in crypto. We had no ability to pay the ransom without divulging that we were the police. And so when we started asking questions around that, like how do we work in a space where crypto is now becoming sort of the main currency that some criminals are using, and if not all. And the chief alluded to this earlier too, as we're moving into wanting to make huge dents in violence in Calgary. Well, that's what these people are using to commit crime. Even the frontline officer recognizing that a device is seized might have a link to crypto on it is a big change for us. And so how do we see this moving along is a good question. This is not an exclusive thing with the Calgary Police Service. We are willing to partner with anybody that's going to make Calgarians safer, right? So if you're looking at us as an organization, we have already been in discussions that are supported by the chief and the executive where we want to create a cyber center for use of a better term, where we can bring all of these people together and work as a team to help make Calgarians or Southern Albertans or Canadians safer. And the only way we can do that is to partner with people in private organizations. Why? It's because our old business model, where we would train officers for a decade, make them experts in their field, wasn't working. Most Canadian agencies have tenure, we would lose them to that or promotion, but then something happened that we didn't foresee or we didn't expect, is they became really marketable for outside interests, business interests. We were losing them to companies like Chainalysis for all the right reasons. Why wouldn't you take the best Calgary had to offer to work for you in a corporation? So how do we get around that? And so we're now looking at these like-minded good community agencies here in Calgary, especially have a ton of corporate support. How do we change that relationship so it's a value add for our organization? So it's okay if the smartest person exists somewhere in an organization in Calgary, but if we can borrow that expertise to help challenge some of these criminal elements when we need them and then return them later, what a great business model for us.
Is this likely to speed up investigation?
Yes. So for example, and I know you guys all know this, but particularly this type of offense, if we're asking for things from companies where we require production orders or judicial authority, and then we have to find time to connect with them to get these answers, I guess in the long and short of it is something that might have taken us 30 hours before. If we're partners with somebody, it's going to take us 30 seconds. So you look at that efficiency piece in just the investigations alone.
Question for the chief here. I guess it was last year that the CPS announced the Ethics Technology Committee. Is that committee played any work in this partnership at all?
It's a good question, and I'll actually look to Ryan to see how that shaped up in terms of the strategy. But I can tell you, it really probably isn't going to be the same type of issue, because most of the data that we look at as far as crypto is publicly available data, open source anyway, and anything that's not open source for investigative purposes, we would get judicial authorizations the same way we would for physical spaces as well. So we'd have to go to a judge for that. So in terms of privacy, the privacy concerns that inevitably come out of these conversations, those are covered off in the same way the rules around police that they are for searching physical spaces.
For Gervis, I wonder if you could talk about jurisdictional challenges, like in your work with this. Obviously, lots of these crypto companies might be, or these crypto scams, they might be operating overseas or something like that. When you try to bring somebody into court and try to lay in charges, are there any challenges in doing that?
Sure. So what are the jurisdictional challenges in this kind of investigative space when the victim may be in one country and the subject may be in another, and the person who laundered that money may be in yet another, and then the exchange where they store their money is in another? So yes, this space has significant jurisdictional challenges. However, as the chief mentioned, one of the other benefits, though, is the speed of investigation. In a traditional investigation, assuming that a person was scammed and that money then got transferred to a foreign bank account, the amount of time that a police service would have to spend to put together the judicial authorization to get those records can be a significant hurdle. Then once they do get those records, only to find out that money moved out of that account 3 weeks ago to yet another offshore location. However, in the crypto blockchain space, because the blockchain is a publicly available ledger, those transactions can be monitored and looked at in real time. And so that ability to follow that money as it moves and hops is greatly compressed if you know what you're doing and you have the right data. And that's what this partnership brings to that. So the average Calgarian who has or becomes a victim of one of these frauds can come forward now with greater confidence, realizing that the CPS and their partners are going to be able to operate at greater speed. Now, granted, to that question about data and privacy, all of our information is publicly available. We do not maintain any personally identifiable information. But what we help them do is figure out what those wallet addresses are and where they're moving to. And so we can then tell them, hey, here is the exchange where that money landed on. And then they can reach out with judicial process and request those records, dramatically compressing the time of investigation. Because in these, speed is critical and time is not their friend. So yes, there are jurisdictional challenges, but often many of these exchanges are in jurisdictions that are compliant. And in fact, because all of their records are digitally, we find in many instances they're able to comply with judicial orders at a greater speed, thus allowing those investigations. They don't want those actors on their platforms. So seizure warrants and orders can be put in place. I think an interesting statistic you might find is in the last 2 years alone, federal authorities in the United States have seized over $11 billion in illicit crypto. That's a significant statistic, and we're seeing that replicated around the world. What's the benefit? That means victims are getting their money back. And hopefully we're shutting down those sites and those purveyors so that there won't be future victims. And that gets back to his question about what's the impact on the average citizen. It helps that environment.
I guess just to wrap it up, and Griffiths, you said it, and then Chief, if you want to make a comment on it as well. Ultimately, what this is about is because this crime is vastly underreported, we know that. Embarrassment, other reasons. Now knowing that this information here, is this that, listen, if it happens, call us, because we now have the tools, and we can approach it or attack it a lot faster than we ever could before. Is that really what this is all about at the end of the day? Yeah, I would say so.
I would say, I would encourage Calgarians and those of Western Canada to have confidence in their police service. They are leaning forward and embracing how 21st century finance works, and they should come forward. And realizing if they will come forward, they may prevent their neighbor and the person down the street from falling victim to the same type of scam. So yes, it's a wonderful thing.
Thanks, Gervis. And that's what I was going to say too. The Calgary Police Service is leaning into this space because we know it's going on anyway. We want to hear about it. The only way that we can upskill ourselves to be able to respond in the way that we need to is to have a good picture of what's going on and then be able to sort of lean in that way through these partnerships. So we absolutely want to know about it, and we absolutely want to create the environment for individuals and businesses and make it much safer than it is today.